Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for TAMP Talks. My name is Antoine Watson.
My name is Marquise Watson, and we're really happy for this episode of our TAMP Talks. We have a very special guest here with us today, Dr. Regina. So, Dr. Regina, I want you to introduce yourself to everyone that's watching and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Dr. Regina Rae, Dr. Regina Whitfield Kakesi, board certified OBGYN practicing here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I am happy to be here. I'm hoping that we don't hear a lot of the background. I'm currently with family. We had a loss, and we celebrated the life of a man today who helped to shape my life. So I am here and excited to be here.
Well, first and foremost, our condolences. So sorry to hear that. And
Yeah,
we are thrilled to have you here because you have been someone who's been near and dear to our heart. And for those who may not know the background of our story, the whole reason we're here, the whole reason we have a nonprofit is because of our daughter, Alana. And we had the privilege of being with Dr. Rae. She walked us through that entire pregnancy, and she's actually the one to deliver Alana. And I believe we had spoke that still to this day, Alana is the smallest baby that she's ever delivered. So the gratitude that we have for you is just beyond this world. You were with us at just a very dark moment in our life, but you helped us continue to see the light, and we're just forever thankful, and what a full circle moment to have you here.
it is a blessing to be here and to see how you all have grown from that point, and you've turned Alana's memory into a teachable moment, an inspiring story for others who may have gone through a loss. And it is just a blessing to see how you all have grown and how your family has grown since that time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Regina. Like Anton mentioned, we really don't have enough really words to even describe the way that we feel about you and how special you are to our family. So thank you again.
And I appreciate the love you have shown over the years. I feel like I'm part of the family.
You
You
are.
are. Look, hey, the feeling is mutual.
Yeah, it is so mutual. It definitely is. And
Thank you.
I know you highlighted a little bit about the work that you do as an OBGYN, and I think one reason outside of the story and connection to Alana was also wanting you to share a little bit personally about your role as an OBGYN and kind of how that has affected you with some of your own personal struggles with infertility.
Sure. So, you know, I decided to practice OBGYN because I recognize the important role that the mother plays in the family. And I realized that oftentimes if mother is healthy, then the family's healthy. She's going to make sure that her partner, her children are taken care of. They've made their appointments. Their health is good. She's going to make sure that her family maintains a healthy environment. And so it's important to keep mama healthy. So many times mothers, choose to put their own health to the side as a sacrifice for the family. But I try to help women to understand, in order for you to be there at 100% for your family, you have to take care of yourself. You have to make yourself a priority. And so certainly in my OBGYN journey as a provider of care to patients, it's been a challenge trying to grow my own family. And as you know, we've gone through an infertility journey. Certainly starting my family later in life, I realized that there could be some challenges, but I just never imagined that it would be impossible, to have my own children. But certainly it was a challenge, and it was an emotional roller coaster, trying to get pregnant for myself while, taking care of patients who seemed to get pregnant with the water they drank. I'm like, what? Okay, well, congratulations, oh my goodness, number 3. Oh, wow. So it's been a blessing to be able to care for others, but it was certainly an emotional struggle at times, as we were challenged with our miscarriages, unsuccessful in vitro fertilizations, and that process. Our infertility journey was a good 5 years before we decided to do something different. And we just had to be honest with ourselves, and ask ourselves, what is the most important thing that we want to accomplish? Is it just a matter of having a child and bearing the child out of my own loins, or is it about having a child that we can impact and mold and bless with the love that we have to give? And after realizing what was the most important thing, we considered an option, which was adoption. And that's how we grew our family.
I think that's really special that you shared that, because I feel like so often, and I can understand when you want to have children, it's just like you can kind of have your mindset on one specific pathway to becoming parents, but then even thinking, okay, what's our overall, kind of what means the most to us. And I think it's really special that you and your husband realize, more so it's just about us being able to share our love with someone else and, pour out to them, and that you guys decided to move forward with adoption, which is something that I think people should talk about more often.
I definitely agree. And, you know, um, even in that experience, our first match was not a successful one. And, by that point, I was totally yielding to God, and recognizing that out of every experience is something to learn. And certainly he never gives us more than we can bear, although we think he's pushing it a lot of times. But I just realized, you know, we are totally not in control of this process. I let parents know all the time. Although we like to plan and organize and predict and, put together, elaborate, celebrations and all of this, at the end of the day, we are not in control. This is one thing that we're not in control of, and that is the growing of life in your body. God has the ultimate control, and the sooner patients and parents recognize that, the less stress they have. You take one day at a time, you enjoy the process, enjoy each and every day because it's a blessing. And then when baby comes, then you work with that. So it's amazing how we come full circle and we decide to grow our family through adoption. And then when we're finally matched with the child that the Lord has created just for us, I had to ask myself, why did it take us so long to get to this point?
Mm-hmm.
Why did we decide? Is there a reason why we didn't decide on this at the beginning, or at least have it as a considerable option from day one, and not, as a possible last, effort to become a parent? And, really after evaluating the steps of the adoption process, I agree. I think this is something that we should talk about more as a viable option alongside IVF, alongside some of the other technological advances we have, to become pregnant. This should not be the last resort. It should be among the first options. And I think it's important to educate the community about that.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. And I know when we went through our issues after Alana, I understand the burning desire of wanting to have a child of your own. So I don't want to ever discredit that. But when we were having, our issues before we, had our oldest son, I was completely open to adoption because I was like, I just want to be a father. I don't care if, it's biologically my child or if we adopt. Like, that's what was most important to me, somewhere to offload all this love and knowledge and skill that I just wanted to pass off to like the next generation. That was just so important to me, to be a father. And, I'm thankful that we were eventually able to have children of our own. But I agree that adoption should not be a last resort. It is such a amazing opportunity to be able to step in and fill in the void and parent a child that isn't biologically yours. But as you know, it, you don't feel any different. That's your child. You love that child with all your heart. Doesn't matter if they're biologically yours or not. Like, that's your child. And I think that's just such a amazing thing to be able to offer.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like I want to ask you, Dr. Regina, share with us kind of how your support was like for you and your husband as far as throughout the infertility, and then even when you got to the point of saying, let's decide to adopt, kind of what your support system looked like and any resources that you guys found to be helpful throughout that whole process.
That's an interesting question. I believe that we had the support of our family and the church, and there were a number of times we met with our pastor to pray over us, to pray over my womb, to allow or even ask the Lord to just show us what you have for us, take us out of the equation, take my desire out of the equation and give me what you would have for me. And certainly if bearing a child is not the option, or if being a parent is not something you have for us, then let us know. So I would say that definitely our church family, my biological family, our families on both sides were our greatest support. I did have, wonderful support from my colleagues in the office as well, because many of them had children. I was one of the fewest remaining who did not have children. So I would say that we had support from all ends. And in terms of resources, we certainly, had an opportunity to talk with others who may have been on the infertility journey, just to hear their experience and, how do you get through the disappointment, of getting pregnant yet having another miscarriage. And at the end of the day, we just had to make a decision, for me personally. I think when I recognized that I had checked out emotionally from the process, then I knew I was done. And I think my husband was there to support me to whatever end I was willing to go in order to become pregnant. But he certainly didn't want to say, well, I think this should be enough. He wanted to allow me to get to whatever end that was. And when I realized that I had missed an important appointment needed for the next IVF cycle because I was preoccupied, and the fact that the doctor's office didn't call me to say, hey, where are you? You've missed your appointment. I said, maybe that's a sign that we're done. We're done emotionally. And we've just technically checked out. So it was at that time where we, had to make a decision, or made a decision. What should our next step be? And what, again, are we looking to accomplish? And with that, adoption became a viable option for us.
Absolutely. Well, no, I completely get that. And that actually leads us to one of our next questions. So you decided that, adoption would be the route that you and your husband would go. And I know that journey is not easy and it comes with some bumps in the road as well. What were some of the challenges that you all were faced with during the adoption process?
Um, I would say the thing that was less concrete became the most challenging thing for me. So with the adoption process, of course, you have your list of things to do, and I can handle a list. We went through all of the, concrete, black and white, binary responsibilities. You got to get this done. Okay, it's done. You got to get this filled out. You got to have the fire chief come and inspect your home. I can get through a checklist. But when we had to put together a profile book, which is a book we design to introduce ourselves to birth moms to consider being a parent for their child, that was the most challenging for us. We got the impression that you only get one opportunity to make a first impression, and it has to be perfect. And I was like, oh Lord, you don't tell somebody it has to be perfect. I will, work to make it perfect. And we already know that the enemy of good is what? Perfection. And the enemy of efficiency is also perfection. So it took us a good year to put together what we found to be a satisfactory profile book. And that came with photo shoots. And, we were told that, birth moms want to see you interacting with children. And I'm like, how can you make that happen when you don't have any? That's the whole reason why we're here.
Yeah.
Where am I going to find some children? But I was blessed to have, a patient whose 2 children I delivered to lend her children to me for our photo shoot so that we could have some children. We have godchildren, but they live out of state and out of country. So we were able to work with a family who allowed us to use her children for our photo shoot. And then we worked with someone, out of state. When you don't tell a type A person that it has to be perfect, because we will thrive and strive to make that happen. So it took us a minute. That was the last portion of what we needed to do to become active on the adoption site's website and to make ourselves available to meet birth moms. So that was the most challenging.
Yeah, I feel like if someone tells me perfection like you, it's just like, I'm not going to eat, sleep, or anything else, because all I'm going to think
Until
about
it's
is
done.
how to make this perfect. So
That is correct.
The pressure that would come along with such a ask like that. So
Exactly.
So I feel like this whole journey that you've been on, Dr. Regina, led you and inspired you to write a book. So tell us a little bit about your book and kind of what you hope, if people read it, what they will gain, information they will gain from reading that book.
Okay. Well, certainly after having our daughter, bringing our daughter home, I had some time to reflect on just the process itself, the process as a professional who's deferred life's joys, to gain an education, to become proficient in my craft before starting a family, and all of those things that come along with it. I thought that I could speak from my perspective as a physician providing women's health care and as a mom along this journey. I thought that it would be helpful to share the different perspectives in real time, so that others could not only recognize that as professionals, we're human as well. We come up short, we get disappointed, we get depressed as well. We are human just like the next person. But I also wanted to help folks to know that, you don't have to accept the answer no when people say, oh, that's not available. or that's not possible. If it has been done by someone else, it is possible. We just have to figure out the route that's best for us to achieve that goal. So I wanted to share my story to help people to understand that they're not alone in this infertility journey, in this journey and challenge and growing one's family. But I also wanted them to be able to go to a resource where it's a one-stop shop so that they can get the information they need on what to expect in the adoption process, and hopefully help to streamline the information that's needed so that someone could potentially prepare themselves before diving in. And that would save on time and putting things together so that they could reach their end a lot quicker.
Absolutely. What an awesome thing to do. I know there were probably tons of questions that you all had along the way. You kind of had to find out the hard way. So what an amazing opportunity for someone who is considering adoption to be able to have a one-stop shop, to be able to gather personal details from a mom who's gone through adoption, and then also your professional side as well, to be able to speak on both things are awesome. So where can people, is the book out yet, or it's coming soon, correct?
Yes, so the ebook is available on Amazon, and the title of the book is Adoption is an Option, Your Step-by-Step Guide to Growing Your Family. Now, certainly there are other books with similar titles out there, but there are none authored by a board-certified physician.
No, we can't top that at all. That was like one of those can't touch that type of moments. So no, I think that's just definitely, I think we need to add that book to our resource library as well, because we encounter many families that are considering other options for expanding their family. And I think that will be just very an easy resource for us to say, hey, we know this lady is the real deal. And if you want some advice on how to go through this, you definitely should check this book out. So we'll be sure to include the link for the book in the comments of this
Thank
video.
you. Thank
and that
you.
way people can easily see that. And I guess we just had one last question for you, Dr. Regina. What advice or encouragement would you offer to families who are on their process of adoption and becoming adoptive parents?
My advice is nothing worth having comes easily. And so stay the course and recognize that what God has for you is for you, and continue to be prayerful and ask the Lord to lead you in the direction he would have you to go. Have him ask for the gift of discernment, because every gift that comes to you may not be what's for you. And it's easy to get caught up emotionally with the desires of the heart, but only what God has for you is the best. It's more than what you could choose for yourself. So I would ask any parent or a couple who are along this journey, the best advice I would give you is to continue to be prayerful. Or if you haven't prayed about it, identify the source where you get your strength and go to that strength power daily, because there are so many forces that impact, the daily outcomes of things that we are not in control of. So we are just looking, and as parents, we want the best. We want the best, for the children in our lives. And the best thing I would say is to stay the course, read a lot, ask questions, and don't take no for an answer.
I love that.
I love that. We appreciate you so much, Dr. Regina. We appreciate your time and your transparency and really just sharing with people. And we know that this words of wisdom and advice that you share will be so helpful for so many families. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And for those who, want to follow me, you can follow me on all social medias as Dr. Regina Rae or Dr. Regina Rae OBGYN on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. I also have a website, drreginarae.com, where you can pre-order your book. I hope to have the printed softback and hardback copies out by the end of the month. And we are in the month of November. And so I take one day at a time. Like,
That's right.
What is this?
Well, Dr. Regina, thank you again so much. I know this book is going to be a #1 seller, but most importantly, it's going to impact families all over the world. And we're just so thankful for you and thankful for your time today. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to TAMP Talks. We look forward to talking with everyone again soon. You'll have a wonderful day.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Always
Take care.
so
Absolutely.
welcome.